right, so now that y'all know that my husband is amazing, let me tell you about one time, this one little time, that it wasn't so amazing. So he did give me permission to tell this story, and because he's so awesome, I feel like it's okay to share with y'all, because it won't change the way y'all think of him. So back when we were dating, we're about 6 months in at this point, and we already are through the I love you stage. We love each other, okay? 6 months in, we already knew this is who I want to marry. We were going kind of fast, but we knew. So there's this one night, we're on a date, and Christian and I were long distance, so he was back from Auburn. That's where he went to college, and we're having a date. Let's go, War Eagle. So we're having a little date night, and as we're talking, he's telling me about how one of his best friends just started dating someone, and he was so excited about it. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I was like, well, I got to go follow her on Instagram because now we're going to be best friends, right? So I go to her Instagram page, follow her, and somehow, instead of being on her actual feed, I was on her tagged photos. So the first picture I click on was her last photo that she was tagged in. So I start scrolling, and I'm like, this is a different girl's page, but whatever, now I'm already into it. So I'm looking at the different pictures, and as I'm scrolling to about the sixth slide in the series of this random Instagram, I see a picture from 2 weeks ago of my boyfriend's arm around this random girl I don't know. And I'm like, hold up. So we're just eating fried rice. Look at this, I just look up and go, this. And where is this? What is this, right? And he goes, this first thing he said, y'all, he said, I told her not to post that. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, this is real bad. And so I'm like, well, you excuse me as I go to the bathroom, because I just had to gather myself. So I come back and I'm like, hold up. Okay, so first of all, I don't know who this person is, but second of all, you told her not to post this, so you know this is bad. And he's like, well, it was really no big deal at all. I mean, literally, it was all my friends, and it was her going away partying, and we've known each other since high school, and it was literally not a big deal at all. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But why did you tell her not to post it? If it's not a big deal, if it wasn't anything, why didn't you tell me about it? If it wasn't anything, why would you tell this girl not to post that? And clearly, she did post it with the instruction to not post it. So what does that say? You see why I'm struggling here, right? You see why every girl in here is like, yes, girl, yes. He is like, yes, keep digging. So I keep digging. I'm like, there is something here. He never lets up. It's no big deal. I promise it was not a big deal. I told her not to post it because I just knew if you saw that it would look like a big deal, but it wasn't a big deal. Yeah, okay. Well, weeks go by. I'm still bringing it up. We're in the car. Why did you tell her not to post it? We're in the movie. Why did you tell her not to post it? I mean, why would you, always, why did you tell her? Then finally, I was convicted. Love keeps no record of wrongs, so I had to let it go. I'm like, whatever. I will never know why this mystery has happened. But if I'm gonna love this man, I must let this go. There's no more bringing up this question as to why. I just gotta lay that one down. So I lay it down. This was in January. So now let's fast forward all the way till September. We're 2 months out from getting married. We are in Auburn. We're hanging out with all his friends. We go back, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna take a nap. I'm so tired. I take a nap on the couch. Wake up to Christian right beside me shaking. He's just shaking. And I'm like, hey, like, I lied to you. And I'm like, what? And y'all, I'm so scared because we are literally 2 months away from getting married at this point. He's shaking. He says he lied to me. I don't know where this is going. No context for what is about to come out of this man's mouth. And he goes, I didn't tell her not to post it. What? Back in January, this is so far gone. And I'm like, why in the world are you bringing this up now? And why in the world did you tell me that you told her not to, which is the main thing I have been hung most of my life, and that you never even said that. You just went to the party, took a picture, and she posted it. You never even said the part I was so mad about. And he was like, yeah, that was weird, And you know what he said? he said a couple of days, he said, I just didn't want that to hurt. I knew that was gonna hurt you when you saw that. I didn't know, I never would have thought she was gonna post it, and I didn't want that to hurt you, and I thought it would have sounded better if I told you that I wish it didn't happen. So I'm like, okay. But then he said this, and this is what I was like, wow. He said, to be honest, Sadie, I said that so many times, I actually forgot that that wasn't true. I actually forgot that that was a lie. I actually started to believe that I actually did say that because I had gotten so used to saying that I forgot that that wasn't even true. And I started thinking about that, and I'm like, you know what? That's a really concerning thing. When you can get so comfortable with a lie that you're sharing, that you actually forget that it's a lie in the first place, and it actually becomes the truth. And it's really scary when you live in a generation that is entitled to their own truth, where everybody wants to have my own truth, my truth, what's your truth? And we can all have different truths, but yet we all have these truths, but they might actually all be rooted on a bunch of lies. Like, we might be saying it's my truth and it's my truth and it's my truth and actually believe that it really is my truth, but when you circle back to why it even became your truth, it's actually all found on a lie. And that's actually really concerning. It's crazy. If everybody can have their own truth, how does that even make sense? How is that even true anymore? Because I don't know if they're crazy to y'all, but maybe we need to be reminded that the truth is powerful because it's true. Isn't that true? Like, the truth is only powerful because it's true, but now it doesn't even have to be true. If it's your truth, no one can argue it. Urban Dictionary, my truth, is literally this: a non-negotiable personal opinion. That's the top-rated definition on Urban Dictionary for my truth, a non-negotiable personal opinion. And the reason why it says my truth is so popular is because people can argue your opinion, but no one can argue your truth. And that's really scary. That we are so entitled to our opinion that instead of even saying it's just an opinion, we're now saying it's our truth so that no one can tell me anything different. There's two verses in Proverbs that come to mind when I think about this and the problem this is. One, it says, a fool is right in their own eye, but the wise listen to instruction. I don't want to be a generation of fools that just think we are so right, you cannot tell me I'm wrong, and I'm going to prove that by saying it's my truth, and you can't argue the truth because the truth is the truth. There's another one that says, there's a path that seems right to a man, but in the end it leads to death. So there is a path that can seem right to you, but that doesn't mean you're on the right path. In the end, that can lead to death. I wanted to remind y'all tonight that there is a big difference between my truth and the truth. There is a big difference between your truth and the truth. And the power of the two are way different. The power that your truth holds compared to the truth is completely different. And I hope to break that down a little bit tonight. At the end of this, why in the world would you want to stand on the grounds of your own shaky truth when you can stand on the solid ground of the way and the truth and the life? See, Jesus says, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. No one gets to the Father. And I assume a lot of people in here who have come to church, your goal is to get to the Father. Your goal is to get to heaven. Your goal is to get with the Lord. And the only way to get there is not through your truth. It's through the truth, Jesus Christ. So I want to read us a passage in John where the truth was kind of a little confusing, a little up for grabs. So it's John 18, and at this point, Jesus had already been, captured, taken, and they originally took him to the Jewish headquarters where they were seeing the Jewish people and Jewish rulers, but basically the Jewish rulers were saying, look, let's expedite this process. We want this guy dead. And the reason they wanted Jesus dead, because Jesus was really rubbing up against a lot of the things. If you were here, if you've heard his message, like it was so different than the law that they had known for their whole life, what Jesus was actually presenting. See, Jesus was there for relationship. Jesus was there and he was healing the blind and he was healing the sick and he was, turning over tables in the temple, all this crazy stuff. He was healing people on the Sabbath, and that was really making them mad because that was really uncomfortable to them. That was really a problem to them. And so they were done with him. They're like, we got to get this dude. We got to capture this dude. But we don't just want him captured. We want him dead. And so they knew, because in Jewish culture, they didn't really kill people, or if anything, they stoned people. They said, we're going to bring him to the Romans because the Romans will crucify him. And so Jesus is now taken from the Jewish people to now the Roman leader, which is Pilate. And Pilate's trying to figure out, why are you here? Like, why did they bring you to us? You must have done something really bad if you're brought to us, that they wanted to go so far as to kill you. So this is the conversation we're having with Jesus and Pilate. So Pilate entered the headquarters again and called Jesus and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And Jesus answered, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did someone else say this to you about me?" And Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and chief priests had delivered you over to me. What have you done?" So he's like, what have you done? You must have done something terrible. When in reality, we know what Jesus was doing. Jesus was doing incredible things, except for it really bothered the Jews. So he's like, what did you do? And Jesus said, my kingdom was not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting that I might not be delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom is not of this world. Then Pilate said to him, so are you a king? And Jesus answered, you say that I'm a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is in the truth listens to my voice. And Pilate said to him, what is truth? So Pilate's like, well, what is true? And you see his predicament. I mean, this is obviously confusing, because here are the Jews saying, this man's so bad, he needs to be crucified. And here's Jesus saying, my kingdom's not even of this world. I'm not here to fight you. If my kingdom's of this world, then my servants would be fighting for me. I'm just here to bear witness of the truth. And he's like, what is true here? They right? Are you right? What is true? And so it says, after he said this, he went back outside of the Jews and told them, I found no guilt in this man. So right here, if we stop for a second, Pilate already kind of knew what was true. This man's not guilty. There is no guilt in this man. And so then he says this, but you have a custom that I should release one man for you at Passover. So do you want me to release to you the king of the Jews? Pilate's like, isn't this obvious? You can release one man, isn't this obvious? Because this man's not guilty, this man's innocent. I really find no guilt in him. Should we just release him? And then they cry out, not this man, but Barabbas. And Barabbas was a robber. Now, y'all, I think we hear that story so much, and you already knew that that was going to happen. You already knew that they released Barabbas and not Jesus. But like, if you think about it, that is crazy. Like, it's crazy that it actually got to that point where here he is, and Pilate's like, there is no guilt in this man. He has literally done nothing wrong. He might be bothering y'all. He might be, annoying y'all, but he has not done anything worthy of being crucified. But this man, on the other hand, he's a robber. He's done all kinds of crazy things. And so isn't it pretty obvious we're going to crucify him? And they're like, no, not this man. We want Barabbas. Give us Barabbas. That's crazy. And so when I look at that, I'm like, why did they choose Barabbas over Jesus? Well, obviously, let's acknowledge that there's a lot of prophecy, and God's plan is over all things. And so there's a reason that all happened. But if you think about it from the crowd's perspective, why did they choose Barabbas? There are two things I want us to look at. One, I think because it had a lot to do with their feelings. And here's the thing when it comes to your own truth. Your truth is going to be measured on the basis of your feelings. It will always choose what is most comfortable in a moment. It's always going to choose what is most comfortable in a moment rather than what's best for you in the long run. So essentially they were saying, we would rather have Barabbas because we can't handle what Jesus is doing. We cannot handle how annoying this is that he's doing all the things against the law. We'd rather have the one who will literally destroy our city. We'd rather have the one who would we'd rather have it more comfortable in the moment when it's best for in the long run. And when you look at that story, you're like, that's crazy. But when we think about in your own life, we make decisions all the time based off of what's comfortable in the moment. as opposed to what's best for us in the long run. You see, we know it's probably not a good idea to go out with all our friends and go drinking and party and all this stuff. But it's more comfortable in a moment to just go and hang out with everybody and deal with the consequences later, right? It's more comfortable whenever, you're feeling like going on the internet and numbing yourself and looking at social media, even though you know later it's gonna make you feel terrible. It's more comfortable to look at pornography. It's more comfortable to be in that relationship. It's more comfortable to do things in a moment than it will be in the long run. And so if you don't have a basis of truth that is outside just your personal feelings, you're always gonna wanna choose the thing that's most comfortable in a moment. You see, there's a difference between objective and subjective truth. I've been kind of reading this and learning about this. And I know it seems silly to just dive into this conversation, but I think it's worth the reminder. So let's do an analogy. Let's say Olivia, in this analogy, is gonna represent someone who's gonna stand on objective truth. And let's say Sally, in this analogy, is gonna stand on subjective truth. So Olivia goes to Dancing Goats this morning, coffee, and she goes, Sally, that is the best coffee in the world. It's the best coffee in the world. And Sally goes, no, Starbucks is the best coffee in the world. And they go, well, we can't both be right. So let's Google what is actually the best coffee in the world, voted by everybody in the world. What is the best coffee? And as they Google this, they see that Buddy the Elf is right. That the place in New York City has the best coffee in the entire world. Who knew? He was right the whole time. And what Olivia does with that information, she goes, man, Dancing Goats was really good. But I guess this place in New York City is better. That's the best coffee in the world. And she now changes her opinion to what it actually is. Sally goes, nope, Starbucks is still the best. It will always be the best. I will always go to Starbucks. You see, what Olivia was able to do is she was able to say, even though this feels the best, even though that looked the best, even though I thought that tasted the best, but it's actually the best is this place in New York City. So I'll forget what I think I know is best, and I'll actually hold true to what is best, and I'm gonna go to New York City to get the absolute best. And what Sally would say is, I don't even care what they say. I know what's the best. It is Starbucks. Who even knows? That thing is so outdated on Google. It doesn't even matter. I would rather have what feels better, what I'm used to, what I'm accustomed to, than actually what might be best for my life. And you see, that in times of scripture, we're like, yeah, how outdated. I would rather go off of my truth because I know what's best for my life. I know the decisions I want to make for my life. Who cares what they say? I know. But what we should be saying is, even though this feels good, even though this might look good, when I compare it to what the Lord has for my life, I choose to surrender what I think feels good in a moment and actually bow in submission to what God has for my life in the long run. You have to be able to say, God, you're a better God than me. You know better for me. Your truth is better than my truth. And so you have to be able to look at this word and say, I might be wrong. It might just feel good because it's what culture's told me is good. It might just feel good because I've gotten so used to that. It might just feel good because and I'm not gonna base my truth based off of my feelings. Well, some of you might say, Sadie, it doesn't even feel good anymore. I go to church every Sunday, and partying to me, it doesn't feel good anymore, but I keep doing it. It doesn't even feel good to me anymore to look at my phone, but I keep doing it. It's not my feelings, I just can't stop. I had a moment the other day with a college student that I'm really good friends with, and I kind of heard about some of the decisions she was making with her life. I know she's a believer, and we're good friends, and so I said, I'm gonna go talk to her. So I went and talked to her. I said, hey friend, I've been hearing some of the stuff that you've been doing. And I said, what's up with that? You're better than that, And she said, wow. She said, I'm so glad you said that to me. She said, because I've honestly just been really confused. She said, I know that's not good for me, but all of my friends who are also Christians are doing it. So I've kind of just gotten to the point where I'm like, I guess it's not that bad. For those, I said, you cannot compare convictions to anyone else. You are responsible for your convictions. You are responsible for the way that the Spirit moves in your heart to deny your flesh and say yes to the Spirit. There is a moment, my sister Rebecca, she's so funny. She's from Taiwan, but she's lived here for a long time. Gosh, she came when she was 16, and now she's in her 30s, married, has 2 kids, and she's just awesome. But one day she came in. If anyone's been to Louisiana in summer, or y'all from Georgia, y'all get it, it's hot, okay? It's just real hot. She walks over, so hot, and she got on a jacket and a scarf. I said, Rebecca, you hot? She said, yes, but I can't believe how cool it's been lately. So yeah, what do you mean it's been cool lately? She goes, no, I mean, yeah, I guess I have been feeling that, but my weather's been saying it's 70 degrees. And I said, well, Rebecca, weird that your weather's saying that, but when you walked over here, did you not feel that it was definitely not 70 degrees? She said, well, yeah, it did feel hot, but my weather app just keeps saying, I've been wearing my scarves and my jacket. I said, Rebecca. So I looked at this girl's phone. My sister's phone was set to a different city. But Rebecca, instead of going outside